Good morning, Clem, and everyone. How are you all doing? Got my timer down here all messed up. That's why I was looking down at the start. Anyway, hope you're having a good day. Although we know for the family of the late Patricia, you guys are still really grieving, and so our hearts still go out to you during this process. But here we are. Really nice sunny day out. Clem, too. What is happening with your weather? Why are you getting so much snow? I think it's Megan's fault. She came up to Clem too. But she tells me it's Frank, the accountant's fault. Um, anyway, I don't know what your weather's like. Ours is pretty nice. I actually have my blinds are closed because it was just too much light coming in this side. So here we are. God's top 10 list of good behavior. We got to the last one finally, otherwise known as the 10 Commandments. You shall not covet. And we started considering that the other day. The actual verse, let's go to that and take a look at that and make a few observations about this. It says, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his male or female servant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to his neighbor. Now, when you look at this list up here, what's interesting is that all of these have to do with certain things that I do. And then whether it's don't make other gods, don't make an idol, don't misuse the name of the Lord, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. These are all things that we do. Honor your father and your mother. It's something I do. Don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't lie. All things that I don't do. And then suddenly we come to you shall not covet. And that's not something I do or don't do. It's actually something that I think and I feel. It's something that goes on in my heart. It's the only one of the 10 Commandments that actually begins to focus on the heart directly. Now, all the others were meant to as well. It's very clear from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount when he addressed things like, you shall not murder. He actually, in understanding that, he went to, what is your attitude towards that other person? In your heart, if you are calling him down with really vile names, because you're that angry with him, it's just like you had murdered him in your heart. Or committing adultery, if you look at a woman lustfully and continue to dwell on that, and women, it would be the same for you with men, then you've basically committed adultery. And what Jesus was saying is the heart really matters. What we think up here really matters. What we feel here really matters. In fact, what we feel guides so much of what we do. Even for us guys, I heard somebody the other day say that guys only have 3 feelings: mad, glad, and sad. That's our 3 feelings. I have a friend in the mission. He says he only has 1 feeling, and my feeling was offended. He jokes around and says, and women have, a great big chart. I have somewhere over here, here it is. This is a chart of feelings. So I'm pretty sure a woman made this chart, but it's actually a pretty good chart. I really like it. My point is this: we actually do far more of our actions based on our feelings than we might realize. Our heads are vitally important, and we need to fill our heads with the right things, and our heads need to work with our heart and interact with our heart. They're both vitally important. The point to the 10th commandment is that what's going on inside of us is of vital importance, because that is ultimately what produces what goes on outside of us. So let me give you a couple examples from scripture that talk about this. Here in Luke chapter 6, Jesus said this: each tree is recognized by its own fruit. People do not pick figs from thorn bushes or grapes from briars. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart. When it says brings up good things, it's talking about the outward actions. A good man's actions are a product of the good stored up in his heart. And an evil man brings up evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. It's very, very frank language there. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Sometimes okay, I'm one of those people, that sometimes I say some things that sometimes will bother somebody, right? And I think, oh my goodness, my mouth got me in trouble again. Well, no, actually, my mouth did not get me in trouble again. The mouth only spoke what was in the heart. So a lot of times we want to blame the words, the things that we say, but the reality is we actually have to turn it around and look into our own hearts, because it's out of the heart that the mouth speaks. So that's example one. This is all over scripture. I just picked out a couple. Keep your heart with all diligence, Proverbs 4:23 says, for from it flows the springs of life. Do you see the connection there? Keep your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. So when we come back up to here, you shall not covet, we should not be surprised that this top 10 list of good behavior, otherwise known as the 10 Commandments, would finish on a final note, really telling us to look into our own hearts and to take care of what's going on in our own hearts. Now, all of us, to a certain degree, struggle with coveting. This is just part of the human experience. What are we to do about that? Well, Colossians says this, put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you. Like, take it so seriously that you view it as something that you're killing. By God's grace and help, you're going to kill this thing. Sexual immorality, that's a heart issue. Impurity, that's a heart issue. It's also an action. Passion is a heart issue. Evil desire. And look at what's there. Covetousness. Because this is idolatry. One of the things, if you want to begin to have victory over coveting, and all of us covet from time to time, some of us struggle with it a lot, is recognize it for what it is. It's idolatry. It's putting things in place of where God should be in our life. It's having things in place of the proper balance of things, other things in life. And so I think that that iPhone is going to make me happy, or that employment position is going to make me happy, or whatever it is. The other person's spouse is going to make me happy. If I just had, it's going to make me happy. And we have put it in its wrong place, and we have actually raised those things to a position of idolatry. So recognize it for what it is and tell yourself that. Be proactive and tell yourself, oh my goodness, I'm slipping into idolatry right now. Hebrews 13:5 says, keep your life free from the love of money. Remember, the scriptures never say that money is the root of all evil. It says love of money is the root of all evil. This is not a problem. Let me say this. The love of money is not a problem, is not a rich person's problem. It's a people problem. I know poor people that are in love with money. They just don't have much of it. I know rich people that are very generous with their money, and it does not hold their heart. So the love of money is not a function of whether you have money or not. It has to do with your heart attitude towards money. And so this verse says, keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. That's at the heart of this commandment, to not covet, is the fact that you're not content with what you have. Be content with what you have, and be happy with this, that God said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And that should be enough for us. The things that we covet will never actually truly bring us happiness, to be honest. But God can bring us peace and joy and hope and lots of other things. And only He can do that. So that's why the 10 Commandments, God's top 10 list of good behavior, wraps up with a commandment that has to do with our hearts. That's all I'm going to have to say about that. I hope you have, what is today? Wednesday. So I hope you have a good couple of days, and we look forward to seeing you all on Friday.